Whereas Mayor Bill Mutz has dedicated himself to the city community through years of service on municipal boards beginning in 2005 and continuing through his tenure as mayor starting January 2nd, 2018. And whereas Mayor Bill Mutz kicked off his 2017 campaign for mayor by falling off his hoverboard to secure the sympathy vote. Yeah. And whereas Mayor Bill Mutz has used his effervescent personality, warmth, and sincerity to serve all people while encouraging and heightening our awareness to see the good in others, embrace their gifts, and elevate the confidence to be highly engaged and loving neighbors one to another. And whereas his willingness to hear all sides of an issue has strengthened public dialogue and supported collaboration, decision-making throughout his service. And whereas after his final 2 meetings averaged over 7 hours, some among city staff would be heard grumbling that the mayor was perhaps a little too willing to hear all sides of the issues and that his gavel had retired before he did. And whereas Mayor Bill Mutz was known for his distinctive insistence on signing official documents with green ink, a personal touch that he maintained consistently throughout his tenure, even standing firm with the FAA. And whereas Mayor Mutz was equally recognized for his thorough and meticulously crafted proclamations, which often set records for length and detail, reflecting his dedication to honoring community achievements and preserving the significance of civic recognition. And whereas he has supported the Lakeland Police Department with unwavering encouragement, showing up to community events where the only guarantees were heat and humidity. And whereas Mayor Bill Mutz stood beside LPD during their long-winded, occasional headache-inducing journey of purchasing and implementing body cameras, patiently enduring demonstrations, cost breakdowns, and at least one incident involving 14 minutes of a high-definition footage of an officer's shoe. And whereas after 8 legendary years of leading the city with charm and calm, Mayor Bill Mutz now takes the toughest role ever, full-time hype man for his wife's World Book Tour. Cheering and pom-poms are optional. Now, therefore, I, Mike Music, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Lakeland, together with the City Commission, city staff, and citizens, honor and thank Mr. Mayor Bill Mutz for his dedicated service and wish him and his family well in the next chapter of his life. And he'll have an opportunity to address all of us later, so let's go ahead and take pictures.
Well, this is an exciting day in a lot of ways, and I want to take an opportunity to have some closing remarks. I will tell you I had quite a surprise last night because I was asked to go to dinner with some of my kids, and I walked into the room with all of my kids.
Wow.
Including wives, with the exception of one Tampa wife, or daughter-in-law, that was sick, so she was being considered a whole rest of the group, and she and I get to talk a lot anyway. But what a wonderful moment in life to see the affirmation of your family. And so I am so grateful for that. And I consider our city an extension of that family. And so I put together just a few marks, and it'll take a few minutes, but it's really my kind of heart as I think about reflecting about Lakeland and the opportunity that I have had. And I'm going to do 3 things in it: talk about appreciation, talk about the optimism, and then provide a small challenge for the new commission. By the way, I am so grateful for the new commission, and I'm so grateful for the leadership within that commission that's coming ahead. And so as I look forward to this, I look for an opportunity to really accentuate, embrace, and support people who I know are going to continue to do the things that need to be done for a great city. So here's my appreciation. My appreciation of our citizens who made the privilege of serving as mayor possible in the first place. I'm so grateful for that. Of advocates who lean into the needs of others, communicating concerns that might otherwise go unnoticed, that come to our meetings and tell us the things that we need to know. Of our faith-based institutions who provide the foundational spiritual hope and dependence into equipping the lives of so many in our community and the leadership that they provide. Of our incredible business community that provides employment opportunities through large corporations as well as small business basis, and the many entities that support their unique needs, such as the Chamber, Bridge Local, Lakeland Association of Realtors, SCORE, LEDC, and many others. Of our educational institutions, think about our educational institutions in the city, who so broadly meet the various needs of our public, private, and higher education, and the leadership that we have in each of those systems and in each of those schools today, which is phenomenal. Of our community volunteers who serve so effectively on boards and committees and do that for no pay, just the opportunity to help make their city better. Of an incredible city management office staff with whom it has been so rewarding to observe and support. My enthusiasm and satisfaction working alongside our city management team, Sean, Rob, and Ashley, for whom I have great, great respect. Our department heads are an extension of that leadership that I'm appreciative of and support the initiatives that are so well warranted in our city so excellently and with the ownership of it being their baby to take care of and lead. For Mike Brossart and the finance department, who do an incredible job of wisely planning and guarding the financial integrity and the reserves for our community that make it such a highly rated city by Moody's, which in particular is a benefit. For the incredible public safety and quality of life from which we all benefit due to the focused protection by our Lakeland Police Department and our Lakeland Fire Department, the leadership from Sammy and from Doug in those two areas, and just thinking how both chiefs do an amazing job of keeping their teams together and guiding people who generally run into individuals as a part of their day on the worst day of the person's life that they might be going to the scene of, and working through that and doing it so well and so consistently. As well as I'm so appreciative of our Parks and Rec, Citrus Connection, LE and Water, Public Works. I could go on and on, but we are grateful for their daily provisions and always improving infrastructure and services that are so easy for us to take for granted. We don't even think about it because we expect the reliability that we see. And then the final category of expressing my appreciation is to this commission, with whom it has been an absolute privilege to be able to serve alongside. With the exception of Mayor-elect McClarley, I will comment alphabetically on each of you, providing a short description of your service and the contributions you made from my perspective. So, first is Commissioner Lalonde, compassionately present and deliberate. Therefore, I label him constituent-centric. For Stephanie Madden, relentless visionary and a historical recap artist. Deeply purposeful. For Chad McLeod, I can't mess up on this one. A master communicator, see, that's why. And precisely discerning, thoughtfully comprehensive. For Commissioner Music, and Commissioner Pro Tem Music, Mayor Pro Tem Music, compassionate pragmatist and generous-hearted, a frugal caretaker. Awesome. For Bill Reed, a real estate focused and maps, the planned watchman. And I think the planning watchman, he really worked hard to make sure we were always asking the right questions in planning. And then to Mayor-elect McClarley, for whom I have profound respect. Hardworking doer, experienced leader, vision-providing mentor to other people, a project initiator, and a governmentally fluent leader. She is a thoughtful integrator. And that's what we're going to see as we move into the next chapters. For having known both Commissioner-elect Coney and Troutman for years, I am confident their contributions will complement the new commission with continuing integrity. And what a wonderful thing it is to know that, to know you have people with high integrity going into positions that support the people of high integrity that are on this commission. So here's my optimism. We live in a philanthropic and well-directed city, in a thriving state, in the greatest nation in the world. Florida will continue to be one of the top 3 growing states for decades to come. Lakeland pursues smart growth, and it will continue to do so as one of 3 Florida registered comprehensive plan cities, only 3. Lakeland is nimble, and it depends on people who intentionally wish to make a difference. As a result, we work hard to honor everyone, and I believe we will continue to do so. This is a quality we must protect, and it provides it's a huge and difficult task to achieve. Pam and I are so grateful to be here because I am convinced we will watch that continue. So here's my closing challenge. You know, Theodore Roosevelt's most famous speech, 1910, my son Jacob reminded me of several months ago, was citizenship in a republic. And that sets the tone for my reminder. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to those who are actually in the arena, whose faces are marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strive valiantly, who err, who come short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings, but who actually strive to do the deeds, who know great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spend themselves in a worthy cause, who at the best know in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if they fail, at least fail while daring greatly, so that their place shall never be with more timid souls, who neither know victory nor defeat. That is what you are. You're in the arena. And our opportunity is to get bruised in the arena, as you know, and that's why then I want to talk about your leadership and your influence in the public eye. Today, anyone who steps up to lead, whether in business, ministry, community work, or even online, faces constant scrutiny, and instantly. Social media gives critics an unlimited reach, often without accountability and within isolated silos and selected representations that aren't always complementary. Application. True leadership requires the courage to act, knowing you will be misunderstood and criticized. The goal isn't to avoid criticism, it is to do meaningful work anyway. So what's the takeaway? You want to focus on contribution, not reputation. You want to remain visionary, practical, and seek the greatest possible good for all. And finally, I want to close with this encouraging challenge. One of the most essential tools for honoring everyone is prioritizing civility. As you know, this sounds simple, but it requires intentional patience and thoughtful consideration. Qualities you all possess. Civility is work. Civility requires sacrifice, which, by the way, is the exact opposite of a cancel culture. That's instant. That's easy. That's demeaning. Civility doesn't do that. Civility occurs when we listen well and focus on others, when we respect others' opinions, and we remain empathetic to their life struggles. Implementing civility into governance requires quantifying the cost of plausible alternatives, and we have Mr. Brossart to help us in that process as we go along the way. It is choosing to be as effective and decisive as possible. And we have great leadership out of our city manager, Sharaus, in that regard. Considering the long-term implications of what we need to do as a city, which oftentimes in the short term, and I'm not even going to bring up the road diet, doesn't look like it's a good decision, but just you wait. And then lastly, and most importantly, involves praying to God for wisdom. You know, in our culture today, we cut that piece out lots because we don't want to have to offend anyone. But offending what is not offense. It is a truth. And so if we are going to do things that make a difference in a city that can honor everyone, we have to do them with the spiritual leadership that God provides to praying hearts. So you stay the course of caring despite a sometimes increasingly cancel culture. Lakeland will remain one of the kindest, safe, and quality of life leading cities in our nation. So I want to thank you in advance for your commitment in seeking that distinction, and I'm so excited to watch your next chapter. Music.
Yes, if I could just have a second before we adjourn with the mayor. I just want to, 5 years ago, when I was considering running, my father was in hospice, and he was at our house. And my dad was a teacher for about 40 years or so at Lakeland Christian School and taught a lot of Bill and Pam's kids. And they came over religiously to see my dad. And I remember I was considering running. Nikki and I had talked about it, and I'm there, and I told Bill. I said, well, first off, I told my dad, and his response was, "Why?" And then I talked with Bill, and I said, Bill, I want you to know that there are things that are going to come up where you and I don't align, and we're great friends, religiously oriented the same. And he said, I hope that's the case. So that was the first thing that I remembered that was great. And the second was, he was there at times when my dad was asleep, caring and loving on my dad. And that's what he does for the citizens. You don't even know that he's caring and thinking and working for you when he is. And for that, I love you and your family. And I am so thankful that I was able to serve for 4 years with you.
Thank you. I'm glad to have served with you, brother.
To echo Commissioner Music, Mayor Pro Tem Music, we are all better people knowing you. So my tenure started in 2018. Well, 2016, there was a push to recruit people to come run for commission. And I was in that small little enclave and thought all my friends that were running were crazy. And that I was like, this is not the right time for me and my family. I got remarried to Trey McCarley. I had 2 kids starting new schools. And it just wasn't the right time for me to do it. And so then fast forward to a special election season, and Bill called me and he said, I really think you should consider running for this seat. And I said, well, I'll pray about it. So he called me back and said, what do you think? And I said, I prayed about it, and I don't think it's a good time. And he goes, I need you to pray harder. And he hung up the phone. What that reflects is a deep faith in something greater than all of us that I so appreciate and concur with, because it was the right thing at the right time for me to participate in and to throw my hat in the arena. And it's been hard and it's been challenging, but I haven't done it with any better people that could walk the face of the earth and serve this city of Lakeland. And the other addendum I'll add to this, as many of you know, I was widowed suddenly in 2009. And my late husband is why we moved back to Lakeland, was for him to work at Publix. We came back from Atlanta. And Bill had become a mentor to Randy and was very supportive of Randy. They had a lot of overlap in chamber activities and the Florida Retail Federation and the Florida Chamber. And they were just really good friends. And about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks before Randy died, so suddenly we had 2 cars. And Publix had then offered Randy an executive car to use because he was driving back and forth to Tallahassee. So we had this car. We had a Camry. It was new. And Randy said, I don't know what we're going to do with it. We owe on this car. What should we do? And I said, well, I don't know. That's your bailiwick. I'm not in charge of the cars. And so I was in charge of the money and the other things. But he, true. That's a true story. But he said, I'm going to go talk to Bill. So the next thing I know, Randy comes home in his Publix Prius, and the Camry had been taken care of. And I said, what in the world? And he said, well, I went and talked to Bill, and he said, don't worry about it. Just leave the car. I'm like, was there paperwork? Did we sign anything? Like, what happened? And he took care of it. Little did I know at that point in time that 2 weeks later, I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning and my husband will have an aneurysm and die. And I have a 2- and 6-year-old, and I had one less car payment. And one less car payment at that point in time was not only critical, it was life-saving. Those are the things that Bill Mutz does behind closed doors, with no flags, with no fanfare, with no accolades, because he does the right thing consistently, because his faith is in something greater. And I have had an honor and a privilege to serve with you. And the fact that all of your children were here just brings tears to my eyes. And so I'm so grateful for you. Thank you, Mutz family, Pam and Emma. Emma, I have special flowers for you for later. And because Emma is an ambassador for the city of Lakeland too.
This is very disruptive to her, this whole change.
Yeah. And so she can hang out with me.
Okay.
But to the Mutz family and Pam and Emma in particular, your sacrifice in sharing your father and your husband with the community for so long, and you shared him way before he was elected to mayor. But mayor's a different thing, and so we are grateful to you. We are so grateful to you, Pam Mutz, and to all of your family. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I guess I'm supposed to call on you to say something nice.
Well, you don't know for sure it'll be nice.
Okay, good.
You know, who knows? So many beautiful things have been said about my friend and Mayor Bill Mutz. And, you know, when we first got this job together, we're like, we can't talk to each other. But certainly there is so much to talk about when I have 6 children and he has 12 children. And just to keep up with where all the kids are and the new grandchildren that are born, we certainly never run out of anything to talk about, do we, Pam? But I will say that the uniqueness of this role, to me, was discovered within the role. It was not something I really perceived before swearing my oath. And this local government, the marvel of the government closest to the people, I like to call it the messy middle. Because when you go to the state or you go to the federal level, you go on a platform and you represent this platform and you fight for this platform. And when you're in a local community, you swear that you're nonpartisan. You swear that you're not on a platform and you're not just going to be committed to particular ideals on a right or a left persuasion. And looking to you as the leader, as the mayor, as the chair of this commission, there were some decisions at first I thought, what? I know Bill Mutz. I know what he believes. I know what he would champion, and it looked a little different in the seat as mayor. But you took your oath seriously, and you tried to compartmentalize, and I'd seen you go across the country talking about family. And I know what an advocate you were for a particular party and that persuasion. But when you came in as mayor, really I felt like what you did is you put on your father's hat. And in a day when families are fractured, when we cancel our own family members, we can't even agree around a dinner table. We don't even want to see them at the holidays. You've been able to work with Pam prayerfully, because God is number one, to keep those 12 children and their spouses and those grandchildren across miles, across state lines, together. You paid for family vacations, you paid for counseling, you had tough conversations. And I know there were a lot of tricky, spicy conversations in the last decades because I was privy to those behind the scenes. And you took that character into this seat and you went into neighborhoods where you didn't know everyone. And you talked to people who were not happy about things and who challenged you straight on and directly and did not want to work with you. And you went to coffee and you went to dinner and you had them in your home and you went to their church and you sat next to them in the pew, and you encouraged them to come to these meetings. And if you had not done that, when we tried to move a Confederate monument, when we tried to get through a national or global pandemic, when we tried to do some of the things that we did, I'll never forget being at the corner of Memorial and Florida Avenue when we were having the Black Lives Matter protest. We had one and only one. Because you instantly convened an evening meeting and you invited neighbors to come in and to express their fears, to express their angst, to say whatever they needed to say to get it off their mind, to not have to go collect on the streets with picketing and violence. They could come and talk to us civilly like you encouraged. That leadership. I don't know if the city knows the peace and the joy and the safety and the love that we have experienced these 8 years because of the tough work, like Commissioner McClarley said, that you did behind the scenes. And what makes you a remarkable husband, a remarkable father, a remarkable friend has made you a remarkable mayor. And I could not be more thankful that I got to work with you.
And now the great communicator, Commissioner McCloud.
Thank you, Commissioner Madden. And just to add on to that, in many ways, the commission becomes like a family, and families become close, but families also argue sometimes and have differences of opinion, and we can squabble. But what I have admired among many things that have been said, Mayor Mutz, is your ability to sit in the middle of the arena, in the middle of different and conflicting opinions, passionate ideas, criticism, and to take all of that and forge a way forward for our city. And I've seen you do it time and time again, and it has made a lasting mark, and I would say legacy for this city that years from now people will look back on and admire the work that you have done as the mayor and the leader of our city. I think that skill that you have, it's God-given, but it's also, I would imagine, that has been developed over many years of having 11 children and their spouses and having to work through difficult issues. To the Mutz children, I have learned a lot from your dad's stories over the past, I'm entering my 7th year on the commission, and sometimes when we're talking before meetings, I think people wonder, what are they talking about? Are they getting ready for an issue that's coming? Are they talking about something they shouldn't? The city attorney may wonder, are they violating the Sunshine Law? But most of the time, you were sharing stories about your family, about your kids, about a situation. And so I feel like I know, even the ones who I don't know, I feel like I know you from the stories your dad has shared. And I have learned so much as a father and as a husband, just in those moments of advice. Even when you weren't trying to give advice, so many times I left the commission meeting and I would go home and tell my wife, Erin, the Mutz family, they did this or they had this situation, and just so many of those moments that I will miss. And so thank you so much for the way you have led over the 8 years and all that you have done. So much behind the scenes that has already been mentioned. We will miss you. Our family is changing here on the commission, but we're excited about the new commissioners and welcoming them. But we cannot thank you enough, Mayor Mutz, for all you've done.
Thank you. Commissioner Lalonde.
You're not getting off that easy. So while I'm not be the great orator, I just want to take the time that, while I only had 2 years with you, the indelible mark that you put upon my heart and my mind to always seek the best, not only myself, but to expect more out of myself and what I lead and the way we guide, to watch you guide the commission, sometimes do some rough stuff and some marathon meetings, thank you. But just to have watched you, and then one of the biggest things that they impressed me was the way that your wife was always your rock, always constant, never bearing, never moving, always by your side. And then my wife recognized that so deeply much, and I mean, it helped us through our first year of drinking through the fire hydrant. And I'm comfortable with these wonderful new commissioners coming up, and you're ready to get your first glass here in just a little bit. But I'm so confident that you guys are going to do excellent and wonderful, and we're so happy to have you. To my fellow commissioners, I guess here we go again. I'm going to miss you so very much, Mayor Mutz. But I'm not going to say goodbye to you, because now I know I can call you, and I can ask you the question.
Yeah. We can talk.
So with that, much love to you and your family, and it has been an honor to serve with you.
Thank you very, very much. With that, then I can move to the actual closing of this commission, of which it has been a privilege to serve for 8 years. And so is there a motion to adjourn? Send aye.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion by commissioners? You can't have any. And by any members of the audience? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. We are no longer an existing commission. Welcome aboard, Mayor McClarley. It's great to have you. Pam?
Pam and Emma, can I come up real
Yeah,
quick?
Emma, can you come up too, please?
real quick, and Jamie,
We're going up front right here.
yeah, we can do it. You can go up front with them. The flowers are for you, and then this is special for you. My mom made all these flowers. There's a green in there. So. Emma's. You can hold it. Here you go. Yeah, I'll stand with Stephanie right now. I'll stand right behind. Emma, move to your mom. And Stephanie, I'll get close.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you.
One left.
Yeah.
Sure, yes. Can all the Mutz children please stand up? We're going to give you an applause.